This is an instructional video on how to fix the yellow light. If your PS3 is doing that, we're going to go ahead and fix it. These are all the tools you're going to need to go ahead and fix the yellow light. We have any kind of alcohol, preferably ones that is over 90%. A T10 security bit, you can use that in any drill, or if you have the actual driver, you can use that. Standard Phillips head, again we like to use the bit. If you have a driver, you can do that as well. 2 pairs of pliers, a smaller flathead, smaller Phillips head driver, a couple Q-tips, a credit card, business card, anything that's flat and thick enough to actually spread the compound, and Arctic Silver. This thermal compound is highly recommended because it actually transfers heat much better than the actual cheaper brands that you find in the stores. You can get this at Radio Shack. It's only $10, completely worth it. It'll save you a lot of headache and it'll keep you from having to open the PS3 later on down the road. Okay, to start, you want to go ahead and take the warranty sticker off. And using a small flathead, go ahead and pull out the rubber insert. Next, take your T10 and go ahead and unscrew the security screw. Let's go ahead and set that aside. Now that you've taken out the T10, go ahead and slide the cover off to the right. Remove the cover, and you're going to see 7 screws around the PS3. Some PS3s, mostly the 60 and the 20s, have screws right here. This is to hold in the RF board on the front where your SD cards are. So go ahead and start by removing the basic ones. Then go ahead, if you have them, remove the other screws to hold the RF board. Now before you proceed any further, make sure you grab the T10 housing out of the top of the lid. You'll mostly see these in the 60 gig, the 40 gig, and the 20, and it's used for an actual case for the T10 to screw into. Go ahead and keep that, as you'll need that for reassembly. Now to remove the top of the case, you want to go ahead and, for most PS3s, there's a tab back here by the small screw. Small screw is designated with an S, so go ahead and take a small flathead and just pry between the tab and the case while you lift up. The rest of the case should come right up as you pull forward, lift it up. As you remove that, carefully, if you have a 60 or an 80 with SD card slots, remove the ribbon cable from the motherboard. Go ahead and set the case aside. Go ahead and remove the Blu-ray drive cable from the motherboard right here. carefully pick up the Blu-ray drive, as you'll note the ribbon cable is very delicate. Go ahead and pry up the motherboard clip for the Blu-ray drive. As soon as that comes off, the Blu-ray drive will come off and you can set it to the side. On some PS3s, you'll find that the cable actually does go underneath the power supply. In that case, you'll have to remove the power supply before you do remove the Blu-ray drive. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the RF board. The RF board is located in the front of the PS3. There are 4 screws holding down this board, so we're going to go ahead and remove those now. You'll also notice a black wire is coming from the RF board back to the Wi-Fi antenna. There is 1 screw holding down the Wi-Fi antenna, so go ahead and remove that as well. Pull up the Wi-Fi antenna and bring it to the front. The RF board should at this point lift right up. Notice the ribbon cable coming off. Pull up the RF board and release that ribbon cable from the motherboard. In order to remove the power supply, you have to unscrew 5 screws holding it down. There are 3 in the front and then there are 2 in the back. Go ahead and begin by unscrewing the 3 screws in the front. Next, we'll get the 2 in the back. Now go ahead and unplug the cord in the front. After you've done that, you can lift up the power supply and pull the cord out from the back. Go ahead and set the power supply to the side. The ground screw is next, and it is actually right behind where the power supply was. Go ahead and unscrew that screw and set it to the side. On some PS3s, there is an LED board located on the front left. Go ahead and start by pulling the ribbon cable from the motherboard. This can be done by simply lifting up. There is no ground clips holding this down. Go ahead and remove the 2 screws holding down the LED board. Now remove the LED board and put it to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the motherboard from the case by unscrewing the 10 screws located around the perimeter of the motherboard. Be sure to note that there are 2 smaller screws located holding down the motherboard. To unscrew these, go ahead and use your smaller Phillips driver. There is also 1 long screw located by where the power out is.